When we think about the conflicts in this nation's history, even when taught by great history teachers like Secretary of State Abore, the wars become very impersonal. And we don't think about the men and women who sacrificed, in some instances, everything in those wars. The history books talk about generals, with respect. And the monuments are often to generals, as in Washington, D.C., where before the Capitol stands an enormous man on horseback, and it says one word, Grant. But what I love about this memorial here in Rhode Island and the one in Washington, D.C., is that it represents the everyday soldier, which is, of course, all of you. And it is all of you, and you too, Dad, who put your lives on the line to keep the rest of us free. I had the great privilege of growing up in a small town. And among my relatives was my uncle, my father's uncle, actually, my great uncle, Uncle Dino, we called him, who was a tail gunner on a bomber in World War II. And so I heard from him quite a bit about his experience, and I have his wings at home today, and I treasure them. And I also had the good fortune of growing up and meeting along the way a Korean War veteran. And of course, I didn't know when I met him that he was a Korean War veteran, but over time, little drabs of information would come out. One thing that I've learned, whether you are a veteran of World War II or Korea or Vietnam, and I acknowledge one of our Vietnam veterans here as well. Thank you, sir, for your service. Or you're someone like Mark Blair on my team who served a number of tours in the Middle East and was in the Special Forces, is you will find it very difficult to get from you what your experiences were like. It is rare for a veteran to really talk about what they experienced in those times when their lives were on the line. But occasionally this veteran would share with me some of his stories. One of them was going to Washington, D.C. for the only time in his life. And then once he got to North Carolina where he was doing his training, he once stopped at a watermelon farm, and picked up a watermelon for his pals back in the barracks. And the farmers had put something in those watermelons which, well, didn't quite agree with you, if you know what I mean. He told me stories about how he named his truck Old Sal. He talked about driving to Texas. He talked about serving in Korea as a forward air traffic controller. He talked about the brave men and women that protected his group, that got them out of the mountain as the Chinese threatened to overrun it. He told me about how the Greeks and Turks had to be separated on the line because they didn't get along so well. But they were some of the fiercest fighters on behalf of our collective freedoms. He told me that when the war was over, or his time was over, he took the ship back to San Francisco, was given a bus ticket, and came home. And that experience is one that I'm sure all of you experienced some version of. And so I was incredibly lucky to know this veteran as I was growing up, but it came out over the course of 59 years because, of course, that person is my father. And I'm so grateful for your service, Dad. The watermelon notwithstanding. You were doing your best. The statute of limitations is passed on that minor infraction. But that is the experience of veterans like my dad and all of you. You come back to everyday life, you serve us well, and I am so incredibly grateful that you're here to talk with us today. And so, all of you, including you, Dad, have my thanks. 179 Rhode Islanders did not come back, but you did. And I'm so incredibly grateful for all that all of you have done. And for me, You know, my dad, I want to end by thanking those who, George Farrell and others, that do the honor flights. I think, Dad, that was the only time you've been back to Washington since the time you went through it on your way to training. And your grandson, my son, had the great privilege of going with you to Washington. And so thank you. I love you, Dad. I love all of you. Thank you very much.